Hey, you guys. I was cracking up. You guys, do you ever get delirious and then you just start laughing? Well, I'm pretty delirious. So I was going over Matthew 24 again and twisting my brain and everything, but I think I kind of figured it out, but I haven't finished it. I don't know what it is with me. It's like I'll get most of it done and then well, wait a minute. I could probably finish it like right now, real quick. Uh, and he shall send his angels with a great sound. Okay, so I think I figured this out. But so then I went back to my old notes that I went over in that video, and I was thinking, I think I mixed some stuff up like bad. And when I was showing you my notes and everything, and I'm like, the star falls, the abyss opens, and the dragon is cast to the earth. Okay, the abyss happens in second, at the beginning of the second part of the 7 years. But I was saying how Satan is cast down from heaven, and also I was matching up a star falls down, which is also the second woe. Oh, no, it's also the first woe, which is the fifth trumpet. And then so I was just I was kind of saying, and then I was also saying how the way it's worded means that the false prophet was there. The whore was there before the Antichrist got indwelt when the beast came up from the abyss in the beginning of the second half. But anyway, I was kind of going over my notes and I'm thinking, what was I thinking? What did I say? Oh my gosh, because, it's not like I have it down pat. But I kind of, so I was going over some stuff and thinking, well, how did I calculate that? And how did I calculate that? What do I mean by, because I was saying, like the second woe, or I mean, the first woe, obviously happens in the first 3.5. The second woe, obviously, okay, well, wait a minute. Then I read the third woe. And it's like the kingdoms of our God, it's like Jesus is coming, right? Jesus is that's what the third woe is. So it makes everybody think, right, that it's the end, the very end. But the way I'm reading Zechariah 14, I think Jesus comes and splits the mountain either at the beginning, or I'm looking at it today thinking maybe he splits the mountain and cracks open the sky in the beginning of the second half of the trib. Now, wait a minute. What was I going to say? And, hides everybody and everything because it's like run for the hills. The 2 witnesses have been killed. The beast has gone in and said, I'm God. When you see the abomination of desolation. And I know in my other video I was saying something like, well, the first and second woe, obviously, the fifth and sixth trumpet obviously have to happen in the beginning because that star falls, the dragon falls. I was just, like I told you, I was going over all the Satan stuff, okay? And so when I was going over these notes after I had gone through Matthew 24, I wanted to, because I was kind of having to go to my notes a little bit. And then, so maybe let me just start here. Well, okay, so I guess what would be the word for that? The conclusion to all what I just said, confusing myself. The conclusion is I have figured out what I did. But see, remember, I haven't fitted in. That's not proper English, but I'm just being silly and lazy. I haven't fit in the seals and the trumpets. But also remember, because I've thought about this before, when I listened to Revelation before I started dissecting it, whenever I hear them describe the seals, I do think of Ezekiel 38. And like I've said before, there's probably a lot of action going on. Actually, the first part of the trib, the first 3.5 years, is probably a lot like society today with just a few differences. For example, murdering people they don't like is going to be just fine. Actually, everyone's going to be actually happier because not that I'm saying socialism and Marxism would create this, but something is going to create a bunch of merchandising happy. You know, it's flooding everybody with all the riches, you know, like Babylon Falls. It lists in Revelation everything she's providing for the whole world, and everybody's just loving it. They're out killing all the Republicans or whatever, and Christians, and they're just, yeah, and it's all legal. Okay. And how I would say that all this time also the two witnesses are over there speaking. So see, I try to not forget other parts of the Bible, like Zechariah, Ezekiel, Joel, Micah. A lot goes on in Micah too that I've cross-referenced. So yeah. Now, so let me read Matthew 24. He's going to start getting antsy here. And I might just do another video while I go over some more things with myself before I come back on, because I do want to. But hey, I'm just kind of thinking out loud with you. Not thinking out loud, but studying out loud. You know, I'm not saying anything set in stone, but at least I'm trying to fit where Ezekiel fits in. I'm trying to fit where Zechariah fits in. And I also, you know, it kind of started when I was doing Genesis, and I think they're hidden. And then I remembered that video from Nathan and that rabbi, and I re-listened to that. Actually, I had shared it before all that, but I hadn't re-listened to it myself, or maybe I had, but I didn't think much of it. But then I listened to it again, and I had already gone over Genesis. So I was like, wow, this boy is kind of saying some stuff that, and then I was reading Zechariah. So it says, and Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, do you not see all these things? Verily I say unto you. Now see, this is also stuff that has already happened. Like I told you before, how those zealots, they were sticking out on Masada. And even when you Google it, this has all happened, but a few things haven't, because God repeats things. So those zealots were probably hearing these prophecies and thinking, well, Jesus is going to come. You know, he told us that you're going to see this, and then the end is coming, right? So they were probably sticking it out after the temple fell, because Jesus says, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Hang on, Bobs. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately. Now see, notice the woman in the Revelation has a crown with 12 stars on it. I wonder if those are the 12 disciples. Maybe no, it's the angels that gather in that. Never mind. That was just a thought I had today. Okay, so the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us when these things shall be, what shall be the sign of your coming and the end of the world. That's all they want to know. Okay? The sign of his coming and when is the end of the world? But you've got to remember, always remember, he says, unless those days were shortened, no flesh would survive. So really, is there going to be a full 7 years? Unless it's kind of talking about that one verse in Revelation where a third of the sun is going to be cut out, a third of the moon, a third of the light of the stars, a third of the day, a third of the night. Is it interpreted like the day and the night, the whole 24 hours is cut by a third? That would shorten time. It also reminds me of the verse that, but this isn't about Satan. This is God, saying, he is going to cut a third, cut a third, cut a third. That has nothing to do with Satan doing anything. But the Antichrist is going to attempt to change times and seasons. So that kind of reminds me of that. Now, they said, when is the end? And Jesus says, I figured out this Christs and false prophets. Okay, so for many... And Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name. This has commentary in between, so it's hard to find. Saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Okay, so the way I think, because I was praying, I'm like, Jesus, what is this? What is it? And then I had an idea that I would have never thought of. When the beast is in... What did I write? This is the second half. This is the beginning of the second half. That's why when he says down here, this is the beginning of sorrows. What he means by that, this is the beginning of the second half Great Tribulation. This is the beginning of the Great Tribulation. First 3.5, they were the whore and the 10 kings were killing anybody they wanted. The 2 witnesses were preaching their hearts out, doing something, preaching to somebody and all that. So they were all out killing. The whore and the 10 kings were killing everybody under the Antichrist's control who wasn't indwelt yet, and they're enjoying that. But they're hating the fact that they can't kill the 2 witnesses. So when they finally do kill him, they're happy. They're like, finally, we get to kill him. Well, that's when the beast from the abyss comes up and indwelt Satan. I guess maybe the star falls in the very beginning with the dragon and the woman fighting. Because remember, he sends a flood. It says he sends a flood. But Zechariah 38 said God draws the nations, not Satan. God draws the nations. But we all know what flood in Muslim world means. Alaska, isn't it? They said Alaska Mosque or something. They sent, it's translated, they sent a flood. They sent a flood. That was October 7th. I don't know what the Arabic and the Hebrew, but it means what they did to Israel on October 7th translates into English as a flood. Okay? That is similar to Ezekiel 38, which I'm wondering if all these seals are what, Satan falls. He's now the Antichrist, but he's not indwelt. The dragon falls and he gives that beast from the sea with the 10 horns. The dragon gives that beast from the sea his power. So that is who the Antichrist is. But he's not indwelt yet with Satan. He hasn't got the deadly. Okay, so when Jesus says, for many shall come in my name and say, I am Christ, I think that is the first 3.5 years. You have the false prophet, but you don't have the image of the beast yet. You have the false prophet running around doing signs and miracles. He's telling everybody, worship the beast, worship the beast. So for 3.5 years, people are, and maybe if these locusts and these 4 demons, if that happens in the first 3.5 too, it's not they may not be seeing them as literal demons. It's just whatever those demons are providing, right? Sicknesses and killing a third of the people with their breastplate. But the people don't care. They're so seared. They're just like, yeah, some people are dying. So what? We're killing people. Yay. And we're merchandising. We're getting, souls. It says in the list in Revelation, the souls, the bodies. That, in other words, sex trafficking is probably legalized in the first 3.5 years. It's slavery, okay? He says, so this many who come in my name, all that is to me now, I feel, is the beast, who's not the full-blown Satan yet, and when the second half begins, the first 3.5 years, all these people that like him and worship him and the false prophet and everything, they're going around to everybody just like the Christians when Jesus says in this gospel will be preached until the end. They're preaching the gospel. These antichrists are preaching, hey, worship the beast. The false prophet tells us to worship the beast. Hey, that's false Christs. Okay? He says down here, false prophets, many false prophets. Those are the people who love the Antichrist. They love the false prophet. And they're telling everybody, this is the answer to your problem here. That false prophet. So they're false propheting. They're false prophesying. And they're falsely saying, worship the beast. So they're saying, many come in my name, saying, and deceive many. A false Christ, I'll save you. It's like, look at that beast over there, that false prophet. They're giving us all this luxury. We get to sell and buy, and in Babylon, and the whore is, giving us all these riches, see? And we get to kill all the people we hate and celebrate, okay, because it's legal now. Okay, then he says, many will be deceived. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, and see that you be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And see, that wording is very bizarre. Because why would Jesus say in the middle of the first 3.5 years of tribulation, where everyone's getting killed that they want to kill them, they kill them. And he says, see that you're not troubled when there are wars. See, you can Google right now, how many wars in the world are going on right now? There's a lot of wars going on in the world right now. So he's saying, don't be troubled, because you're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars. Well, maybe Ezekiel has already happened. Maybe there's some threats of some this and that. Okay, I'm just thinking out loud right now because I forgot what I was thinking here. Maybe I wrote a note. Yeah, I kind of wrote. So he's saying, okay, so you're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars in the first part of the trib, but don't be troubled. Why does he say that? See that you be not troubled. To me, that's the last of their worries, is wars and rumors of wars. They're seeing all kinds of weird, but I mean, they're also being part of it. They're enjoying the merchandising. They're enjoying okay, they're just trying not to get killed, right? Probably. They're saying, maybe that hasn't, whatever. Okay, so see that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Because it's not. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of the first. It's the beginning of the trib. He said, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in different places. This, to me, is what he talks about in Revelation. Every event, I mean, I haven't Googled how many times he says this, but there's a few times he talks about an earthquake and something massive happens. So here I think he's saying, because nation's going to rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be These earthquakes, I think, are going to cause famines and pestilences, plus it might be socialist. Okay, the two witnesses also might be causing, I don't think the two witnesses can cause earthquakes, but that false prophet can cause fire to fall down from heaven. And I don't know about whatever, but I think he does signs and wonders, okay? And then he says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Oh, right. So many are going to come and say, I am Christ. That is also, maybe he's talking about the second half. Maybe that's what I meant. So many shall come in my name and say, I'm the Christ. Take the mark of the beast. Because the second half is where the image of the beast is. That's when the false prophet is going to tell all the population. And they're going to be like, okay, we've been going through this 3.5 years now. You should trust us by now. I want you to make an image because we need to make a mark now. And as soon as you make this image, I'm going to breathe life into it. And you're going to worship that, or you're going to take that mark, and it's going to tell you to worship the Antichrist, the beast, the indwelt Satan. It's going to tell you, the false prophet is going to tell you. Those two things are going to be pointing to the beast, Satan, the Antichrist, okay, after he gets his deadly wound. Those two characters are going to be always pointing to him. And anybody roaming around that hasn't taken the mark of the beast yet, they're going to be witnessing about that. Hey, take the mark, take the mark, take the mark. Oh yeah, take the mark. Here's the mark. Here's this great thing. Do it, do it. Come on, come on. The beast is the real Christ. The beast is over here. And that's the real prophet over there. That's the real prophet, the false prophet. So many false prophets. Many of these people are going to be promoting the Antichrist. So many are coming and saying, I'm Christ. Many are coming, are false prophets. And, okay, so then he goes, nation will rise against nation. And I haven't figured this out yet, but I might come back on here. Okay, so I can maybe get a better handle on it. I just thought, this is so mind-blowing, especially when I was going over the woes. And I'm thinking, well, maybe the seals are all pertaining to Ezekiel 38. I haven't rehashed all the seals yet. And then how the woes are trumpets 5, 6, and 7. But see how trumpet number 7, the third woe, how can that even be a woe? How can 7 be a woe when it is saying the kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Messiah? And then it goes into the vials. The vials haven't even been opened yet. Well, I mean, you don't know. Well, yeah, probably, because he kind of jumps around in these chapters. I think that woe, the 7th trumpet, it's called a woe, even though it sounds wonderful, because the kingdom of God, I think that is Zechariah 14, where he's stepping on the mountain. The two witnesses are around, and they probably got killed. But Jesus steps on the mountain, and it says, because I went and I repeated that verse twice. I'm like, wow, he is ruling the whole world now. He's ruling the whole world. Jesus is ruling the whole world in Zechariah 14. Yet it's not the end yet. Okay, and what I was saying in that video too is he's coming in the cloud, he's coming in the cloud, he's coming in the cloud. Either way you want to slice it, he's coming in the cloud. He has to come through a cloud to get to the mount, to split it in two. So how do people tell which cloud is which? If you want to get technical. Because I think I found out not just Acts 1:11, and I even found a cross-reference to Acts 1:11 in here that totally shot that out of the water. I don't remember what or where. Oh, here. For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. And yet they were cross-referencing the Mount of Olives split in two. That is at the very end. He's still coming on a cloud to get to the mount, right? And they go, oh, it's because of Acts 1:11 when they say, why stand you gazing? He's coming back the same way. Well, he didn't ascend with lightning. He didn't, in Acts 1:11. Where am I? For as lightning comes out of the east and shines even into the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Acts 1:11 wasn't like that. Well, all I'm saying, Jesus talks about this description of his arrival several times, and sometimes it's worded a little differently too. So to me, I know that the whole world is going to see it, whether it happens twice, 3 times, 1 time, whatever. I'll tell you, if I were to find all the verses where he said, and I think I told you one time, I Googled it, 5 times it's said in there. One time he's gathering his saints. One time he cracks open the sky and he's coming with his saints. I mean, and then you need to read it in context. You need to read it in context, all 5 of them. So one of those, and then even the one where he's cracking open the sky and he's coming back with all of us on horses. I saw that. That was at the end of Revelation. When does he step foot on the mountain then? If he's too busy on a horse with all of us, millions, 2,000 years worth of Christians coming back, and then the dead in Christ rising, and we're all coming back at the very end. Well, when is he going to step on the foot of mountains then? Nobody talks about that. So see, all I want to do, I'm not dogging anybody on their doctrine and their theology here, and maybe it's fine the way they're doing it. Maybe everything they say is true, but they just want to do pieces of it. And maybe those pieces are right, but I wish they would meld it all together. You know, go ahead, meld it all together, because you talk about him stepping and splitting the mountain open at the very end, yet you don't want to explain this cracking open the sky and he's coming in on a horse with all of us. Well, where does the mountain cracked open fit in? Okay, and then where do you want to fit in the Zechariah 14? I mean, and the 2. I mean, but I get it. I see how it's easy to do. You get involved and you get so, and then you forget about the other things sometimes. But I have to remind myself, oh, could that, but I don't really have to remind myself. The more I'm reading the minor prophets, the more I'm seeing how it lines up with Zechariah 14 more than whatever else they harp on, like Matthew 24, how they interpret it as a second coming and a rapture. I mean, Zechariah to me seems more, and the minor prophets and Isaiah match up way better than Matthew 24, how they are interpreting it. And I'm about to try to now, but I didn't want to get too deep. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll do another video, because it's going to take me a long time, because I said I wanted to look over the thrones that are mentioned in Revelation, and then I realized there's something else I want to look up. I probably want to go more over this cracking open the sky, contextual stuff. I have found already so many verses in the minor prophets that match up with Zechariah 14. And Isaiah matches up with Zechariah 14. And Joel is a minor prophet. Those all match. But they don't really match Matthew 24 the way it's been taught. They don't match. Because somewhere everyone was taught there's a rapture, which is a wedding. Okay? But yet in Revelation, they don't bother telling you there's been a wedding. He's got a wife. He has a wife already, and that's Israel. And he's coming as a bridegroom, and the beautiful wife is showing on the sea of fire and glass. Okay, so why do they not mesh that together and teach it? Because where does this wedding and wife thing and bride and groom, and even in Luke, he says, when I come back from the wedding, it's like, it's okay to be laser focused, but when it comes to so many facets and so many verses, you shouldn't be laser focused. You need to say, wait a minute, you're making that book sound like it makes sense. And maybe you have made it make sense. But if I wanted to add Zechariah or this book or that verse or this verse, it kind of throws a monkey wrench in it. I mean, where do those verses fit in? And I said how, and I even found another verse. It's in Micah 7 verse 5 is also describing, no, that's not one. But like, see, here in Matthew 24, sorry I didn't get far because he's not liking this. Those should be shortened or no flesh would survive. That's like Isaiah 49:10. That's also like Revelation 7:16. But what was I thinking of that? Okay, Micah. Here you have, and then shall many be offended. Well, that's in Micah 7:5 and 7:9. I just can't concentrate. It's bad enough, but he's not comfortable. So I'm going to just not do this right now. But I'm just getting on here to warn you. I'm warning you now. I'm on the rampage. I'm on a rampage. Or what is that? I'm on a tirade. But I'm also realizing this is why AI is so necessary and needful right now. I don't know how to use AI, but I would love it. I would love to have AI fit all this together. Like, say, I want Ezekiel, I want Joel, I want all the minor prophets, I want Isaiah in there, I want, this Matthew 24, and then all these woes and seals and trumpets and vials. And then these parables sound pretty much like pre-trib, like Jesus is coming. And then they'll teach like, the trib is going to be horrible. But then nobody bothers to ask, well, look, when Babylon falls, everyone's going to be weeping for her. Why are they weeping for her? It's because they enjoyed all her stuff. That means the first 3.5 years was great. For the most part. For all we know, the whore is assassinating everybody. That's a quick death. That's not really painful. If you're a Christian and she don't like you, or if you're a Republican and they don't like you, they just shoot you. And then they celebrate, right? It'll be legal. No harm, no foul. You'll be dead and in heaven. And plus that, you might be dying from, if it's true that these locusts come up and these demons, they're going to kill 1/3 of the population. They're all going to die. No one's going to be crying about that. They're too busy indulging in the indulgences of the merchants and the whore and the city of Babylon. Okay, so these are just little things my mind likes to piece together. That's why I was never really interested in the end times, because I knew I wasn't going to be in it according to the way I was taught. But then I started thinking about these Jews. These Jews can't be left in this shit mess. No way. That's why the first 3.5, the Jews that aren't hidden in the mountain, if I'm right about that, if AI could figure it out, with all the information and inputted it into her. But what was I saying? So everyone's going to be going along. Yeah. So any Jews that weren't hidden in the mountain, those could have been the 144,000 for all we know. Only. And then some Gentiles. I have no idea. What about those Gentiles? I forgot even where I'm reading that. But so when those Jews see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, all of a sudden shit hits the fan. It's no more fun to be. Babylon has fallen. The whore's been assassinated. The beast has gone into the temple and said, I'm God. And then all the Jews want to run for the hills. Hey, that is, to me, Jesus coming, or Jesus could have come in the first 3.5 years. So all those Jews from Judea flee to the mountains and pray. It's not in winter or on a Sabbath. To me, that sounds like Hanukkah. Hanukkah's in the winter, and Hanukkah is 8 days. So there is a Sabbath either twice or once at least in Hanukkah. And I don't understand that wording either. Pray. It's not in the winter. How do they know how to pray for that? They don't even know about this. They don't even know about any of this. Unless somewhere in their own Mishnahs and prophet books. How are you supposed to be knowing to pray? Unless that first 3.5 years, they know something. And they're thinking, we know something's going to happen in 3.5 years to kick off the beginning of sorrows of the Great Tribulation. Let's just pray it doesn't happen in winter or a Sabbath, because it could happen right on during the 8 days of Hanukkah on the day it's a Sabbath day. Okay, so what is that about? How do these people know what to pray? Pray it's not in winter. Pray what's not in winter or on a Sabbath. What exactly is going on anyway? See, I don't understand that wording. Even the other wording where I was showing you, he's saying, so anyway, I'm going to go. He's just waiting at the door. So yes, I just think it would be cool if AI figured all this out and they list everything. They list, okay, so there's a merchandising going on. There's people saying worship the beast or this Antichrist. Isn't he great? There's no number yet. There's just a prophet, a whore, an Antichrist who's not indwelt yet. Just think of Mamdani being the leader. And then there's a whore, whoever could be a whore, killing everybody, probably, those weirdo Republicans. And then think of who's the other one, the false prophet, who is giving accolades to Mamdani. Oh yeah, vote for him. Okay, that's what these false Christs and many false prophets are. They're over here peddling and pandering to Mamdani. We'll just say Mamdani as an example. He's not even a president, but I'm just saying somebody gross like that, and a false prophet that loves him, and all the people that love him are going to be saying, oh yeah, but instead of saying vote for him, they're going to be saying he's the savior. He's the savior after this Ezekiel war. I also was thinking in my mind one night that that's all over there in Israel. But as soon as everybody sees it, the whole world is going to know it's God, except for the Muslims, because they believe in Allah, unless they think Allah is our God. I don't know. We know that Allah is not God, but they think Allah is the God. So when everyone sees that happening in Ezekiel 38, that Israel, the nations are surrounding it and getting her, what do you think all the Muslims worldwide are going to think? They're going to love it. They're going to be like, yes, Israel's finally getting it. Then what do you think is going to happen? They're all going to feel empowered. They're going to rise up and start wanting to do us wherever they live. UK, England, America, They're going to go, yeah, they're killing all the Jews. Yeah, let's kill all the Jews now. Well, technically, when that fight happened in heaven with the woman and the dragon, and he got cast down to earth, she got hidden. He spewed a flood. He spewed a flood. So that could be the Ezekiel 38. And that's a flood at Israel, but it's also a flood worldwide with all these Muslims that hate Christians and Jews. And they might rear their ugly head. Well, then see, that's either somewhere the rapture's in there, or, yeah. But regardless if Ezekiel 38 fits in with Revelation 12 or not, I don't know. But I have wondered if when Ezekiel 38 happens and the whole world sees it and the whole world knows it's God, I have wondered if the Muslims if the Muslims worldwide aren't going to want to rise up, because they're all excited about it and they feel emboldened, even more emboldened. They're going to be burning Jew temples and synagogues, and maybe going after Christians too. And if Ezekiel 38 kicks off, or whichever Revelation kicks off, Ezekiel 38, I don't know, because it says the dragon spewed a flood, but Ezekiel 38 said God himself drew the nations. I'm not going to give Satan any credit for something he doesn't deserve. So if God drew the nations, I'm not going to say that's Satan spewing a flood. You know what I mean? So I don't know if they're connected. Anyway, okay, well, I guess I'll just continue my studying and maybe get back on here. And yeah, I just wanted to say that about some of the things I said in my video. I might have been kind of delirious a little bit, because sometimes I try to just pop on the camera right when things seem to be settled fine. And maybe they weren't totally settled fine, but I do think that woe, the first and second woe, the way it's worded, that second woe happens. Well, the second woe is the abyss and the star falling. No, the first woe is the star falling and the locusts. The second woe is the river Euphrates. So that may, if that is in the beginning of, like, say, same time simultaneously, this is why AI would be good, because AI could fit all these simultaneous things in. It could fit all the simultaneous. Okay, so if the fifth trumpet, the abyss, and then the Euphrates is the sixth trumpet, the second woe, and if that star falling is the same time that the dragon falls, then that's in the beginning, which also means that all those seals probably have had to happen. And because the first seal, did it say it said on a white horse? It didn't say Antichrist. It just said on a white horse, making war. I get on here and I forget all my words. To conquer and to conquers and to conquer. So, yeah. And then there's war. That's Ezekiel 38. Famine. Death through war, hunger, and pestilence. Could be because all the Muslims worldwide were looting, killing and looting. So there's death, war, hunger, and pestilence. Then that You know, what happens to the grocery stores? Maybe they knock the power grid out. Who knows? They're weird, you know? They're terrorists. Uh, Now I feel like I sound like Candace. Not that I'm lying about that, but Muslim religion, that's what they do. They say they lie to you until they can be strong. They act like they are nice and peaceful until it's time to rise up. That's what they're taught. So it's not like I'm lying. Death, martyrs are under the altar. Now, if those are the first 3.5 year martyrs, maybe there's some other martyrs for some other, maybe I'm wrong, okay. And then earthquake, darkness, and blood moon. Well, isn't there an earthquake mentioned in Ezekiel 38? There's one in Joel. Then there's silence in heaven for 30 minutes. Maybe the 144,000 are being marked. Maybe there's that war in heaven between the woman and the dragon. Anyway, so I think all this is 3D, but with a finite mind. But this book is for a finite mind. It's written by humans, for humans. I'd like to know what the old prophets translated it, because that John Corson guy, that's just a clip of him, and I hate it when these pages rattle. I wish I could read some of those old ones he lists. How they say, oh, Ezekiel happens when before the trib begins. So anyway, I'll just come on here later. I'm probably not even, and then my mouth is getting clicky. I need a drink. A Dr. Pepper. I always call it a drink. Or maybe some coffee. All right, well, maybe I'll get back on here later. Bye.